All right. Well, if you're here, thanks for coming to my channel, Strictly Business. First things first, I gotta give a huge shout out to my boy Eric Shot. He watches my content. I dropped a video yesterday for the first time in like a month, and he hit me like, it's just, he's one of my oldest homies. He's like family. His family has legitimately been like a surrogate family to me. His brothers, his mom, his grandma, his dad, and I owe them all a lot. I really do. And they really, it's like his family, and then my other friends, like brothers and his family, very big influences on the people that we became and the way that we lived our lives, and some of the backlash that we got that we didn't deserve, but it was what it was. But I just needed to give a shout out to him first of all for this story. But this story is a fucking wild one, so just trust me, you're in the right spot. You clicked this for a reason, and believe me, I'm gonna deliver. Okay. So this took place, I would say, the summer between middle school and high school, probably, like, or maybe early, like just starting high school. Okay. So by that time, like, where we stayed in Torrance, there's like a strip of like the city that there's just kind of like apartments for just like a couple blocks. There's just like, it's just made up of just like big apartment complexes that take up, there's like maybe like there'll be like two, but it'll take up a whole block, and then on the next block there'll be another like two across the street, you know, and then there's an alley behind every single one of those places. Like, there was the Torrance Venture. That was one. It was just one of those places where, like, not one person, not two people, not three. There'd be like 10 people that lived there. And the same thing goes for this place that all this shit went down at, called the Milano. Okay, the Milano, very close to Anza and Torrance, the intersection. Okay, so my friend Eric, he had a set of older brothers that, like, I kind of fit right in because he's a year younger than me, and then I'm right there. And then he had a brother that was 1 year older than me. Then there was another one that was like 4 years older than me. And then there was another one that was like 8 to like 10 years older than me. Chilled with all of them, all different like reasons or whatever. The oldest one started the team clothing. And if you've ever seen this in my videos, that's like what that's for. Like, got it when I was like 15, you know. It is what it is. It's not going anywhere. So, anyways, this all took place at the Milano apartment complex. At that time, uh, my friend's dad lived there, but this was a place we would frequent, like either the alley or like they had a little basketball court like type place where we would literally just like sit. Nobody would play basketball or anything. We would just sit down there and we would just like smoke blunts or, you know, whatever. But what ended up happening was my I told you how he had a brother who was like a year older than me. Okay, this fool was wild, man. This fool Alex, man, he was just a force to be reckoned with. Like, and he wasn't the biggest gnarliest guy or anything, but like definitely some really good times. Just solid people in general, solid individuals in general, all the way around, like straight up. But what he would do is he lived in these Milano apartment complex. And this just there's just one of them, the Milano apartment complex. It might be called something else by now. Wouldn't surprise me, especially after the story I'm about to tell you. Okay, so it was right across the street from, like, on Torrance and Anza, there was a pavilions. Pavilions, I don't think that it should even exist anymore. I personally know that I, had my own system with pavilions that literally never, like, you can't have a door that's like not connected to, like you can't have a door that just goes down like basically an alley out. Like, it was just, they were like asking to get like stolen from, really. But anyways, that's a whole, man, like all this stuff, like I could tell a million stories a million different ways just from what I've led up to, but it ain't shit compared to what I'm about to. So, for like like every day for, I don't know, days, weeks, months, like I don't even, I can't even keep, I really can't like remember, like this, you got to remember this happened a long time ago. But like, basically, my homie's brother would go into pavilion. Just imagine like Vaughn's. Imagine a Vaughn's or like something like that. Like, not the biggest place, but not the smallest place either. Like, imagine Vaughn's is perfect. That's exactly what pavilions turned into Vaughn's. So just picture that. He would go over there as soon as they opened up, which was maybe like, I don't know, 7 or like something. Like, he'd be up early, and he would go over there and he would take a shopping cart, and he would take his shopping cart and he would just fill it to the brim with alcohol, and like, not the cheap shit. Like, he was like Grey Goose, Belvedere, um, like good shit. I've never been a big drinker or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But like, he'd take some 30 packs, some whatever, like just a shopping cart just full, and like he kind of like, I want to say he perfected it, but he ended up eventually getting caught and like doing some time for it. But like, for a way longer he got away with it, and it wasn't the like, why, like some Ocean's 11 type shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would just fill up the shopping cart all the way, and then he would just dip, and he would just run across the street. His apartment was right there, and then we would just invite all the homies over. Like, I mean, not like, I was one of the people who got invited over, but like probably one of the first. So like, I'm there, and like, we would literally just party all night at this Milano apartment complex that I'm surprised that they didn't call the cops on us, like, for like earlier times when, like, we were just there. But like, I really think it was like a numbers thing, because we'd be mobbing deep, like 20, 30 people, like minimum, a lot of the times. Like, there was, and some of those people were like some serious people, like, someone who, like, I can remember like the first time that I saw like somebody like with a strap in Torrance, which, like, if you grow up in Torrance, like, you're kind of like, it's not a necessary tool to have, but I always remember he called it his 3/8 special, and just like, if I said Alex was a force not to be reckoned with, like, these fools were the real, like, you did not want to, like, I don't even feel comfortable naming their like association or whatever, but I'll abbreviate it with LMS. Okay, if you're from the area, you know what I'm talking about. If not, like, just, they were just a organization that was like, had a reputation. I like the sound of that. An organization with a reputation, because that's spot on. So, and their reputation was just getting down and dirty and like fighting, whatever, like whatever happened, like it was just like, they were hoping some shit popped off. Like, I've definitely had multiple like homies like that throughout the years, of just people that like they just want a reason to fight. Like they just want, like, you might tell them like, yo, I'll give you this for this or that, and they're just like, no, I'm cool, like, let's go. So anyways, just kind of prefacing, whatever you want to call it, adding some context. So this night, it was just like any other night, really. Like, we're over there, and I can't name all the. There's just too many people for me to name, but like, I was there, Eric was there, Alex was there, Kevin was there. I'll get into the other people as events unfold. Okay, so what really cracked it off was, like, everybody was kind of, doing their own thing, chilling, whatever. And it just so happened that there were there was at least one female. I don't know, can't remember how many, but there was at least one female. She was from Redondo, and she was there. Okay. And something happened where, like, her and the homie Nick got into an argument. And Nick, like, he's the homie, man. Like, I'll back him up and everything. Like, I don't necessarily agree with what he did. I don't know what the exact situation was, but he ended up cracking this girl in the head with a beer bottle. Okay. I don't think it broke, but I'm pretty just like kind of like that. Not advocating for hitting women. I'm not. I just want to make that very clear. Not advocating for it at all, but hey, it happened. Like, I'm not gonna say it didn't happen, because that's what started everything. Okay, so this girl, she like starts freaking out, and rightfully so. I don't mean to say it like, dude, I don't get it. Like, she's like, and she's like getting pissed, and I just remember her saying, she's like, I'm gonna call blah 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 blah. Like, like, you remember, like, this place was like upstairs, like it was inside of an apartment complex, like just where like there would be like beach chairs kind of, or whatever. Like, I think there was a pool, but that shit was like downstairs. And like, we just had this little patio like area that was just like an open area with just chairs and all that, and we would just set up, like, there'd just be bottles of vodka and rum and anything that you could possibly imagine. It was there, like the black label or blue label or whatever, like the top shelf type shit, like the good stuff, I guess. Like, like I said, never been a huge drinker, but I know that he wasn't just taking like natty ice. Like, this was at the very beginning of like like, I don't even think I was in high school yet, you know what I'm saying? So like, over time, you learn about Bud Ice, Natty Ice, and like the 30 packs that cost $30 or whatever, $15, or it was not that. It was good stuff. Okay, so the homie Nick, he hits this girl in the head with a bottle. She's like, I'm calling my friends. Like, I'm not sure if she named the people, but I know afterwards they were called So What Click. It was like SWK, or So What Crew, So What Click, something like that. Okay. So she's like, oh, I'm gonna call my friends from Redondo, and like, us, like, we're thinking to ourselves, like, like, what are some Redondo like kids gonna do, honestly? Like, and we were literally talking about it like that, like, Redondo kids, like, what are these kids gonna do? Like, call their lawyers on us or something? Like, what? But boy, were we wrong. Boy, we were wrong as shit. Okay, so like, I think that girl left or something, like, or maybe she just kind of like went around the corner, or maybe she stayed. Who knows? Like, maybe he tried to patch it up. I don't know, but the call was made. So we're up there, and we're hanging out, and I can't remember. It was probably like two cars full of people, like two full cars worth of people that ended up rolling up. At least one, if not two. okay? And all of a sudden, like, we like see these guys, like, you know, because where we were at was like on this upstairs, like, you know, like you could obviously see somebody like walking towards us or whatever. So all of a sudden we see like a group of people walking towards us that, like, you know, none of us recognize or anything, and they're like, you know, they're not small. Let's put it that way. Like, they're not small. They weren't like giants or anything. And like, you know, I'm 14, 15 at the time, you know what I'm saying? And like, you know, so, you know, things are probably seemed bigger to me at the time than they are now, but regardless, like, these fools rolled up and like they meant business, dude. And the thing that I can remember clearly is one of them had one of those things. It was a straight up medieval weapon. And it was one of those things that it was a chain connected to a handle that had a ball with spikes on it. I think it's called a mace, if I'm not mistaken. Just don't quote me on that, but I think it was a mace. And like they had baseball bats, switchblades, okay? So like literally they didn't really talk, you know. There wasn't really anything to talk about. So like really they just like we saw them and you know they brandished their weapons or whatever you want to call it, and they just kind of like charged over at us, and like we for sure had them outnumbered, like for sure, but we didn't have any weapons or anything, like, you know, we were just chilling. Like it was just a night, I think it was like a Friday night or something like that. Like it really wasn't like, you know, we weren't prepared for battle. These motherfuckers came like it was Braveheart, I swear to God. So like they run up on, and they're like running up on us, and we're right there, and like we had way more people, but some of us, like there was a lot of us that like we were young, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't about to like square up with a dude with a switchblade, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I mean, like I was there still. Like I didn't run and tuck my, like I didn't run away and hop the fence and like dip. Like I still like stayed around to try to do, you know, what I could. And I can even remember that the homie that I told, that, like, you know, his name was Max, and it might get confusing because I have another like good homie named Max, but this is a different one, okay? And I can remember when they were first walking over to us, he already knew what time it was, so he went and he grabbed two 40s. He grabbed a 40, he grabbed another 40, and he was holding them like sideways, like with like the bottle going that way and that way. And he said something like, he's like, I live for this shit or something like that. And like he was ready, and something happened where my homie Eric, my little homie Eric, I don't mean to call him little, but like he's just a year younger than me, but like something happened where like he was exposed, like he was just kind of like there, you know, and like one of them had like kind of like singled him out, and like he kind of like charged up on him, and then Max wasn't about to let that shit happen, you know. Like we were all very tight back then. We are all like very very tight. So he just like cracks him with a 40, and the homie Gank, he actually got hit by the mace, like legitimately, like I don't know if the dude was swinging it or whatever, but he like hit him in the head with it. And I can remember like the blood was coming down his face, and he didn't even know because he was on ecstasy, and like he didn't even know, like he didn't even know how bad he was hurt, that we were, because we were talking to him at like after everything, and he was just kind of like chilling, like, and we were just like, yo dude, like I think somebody threw him a towel or like a t-shirt, or he took off his t-shirt, whatever. And but like we kind of had to like point it out to him because he just like didn't feel it, you know. So like another friend of mine, Nick, I can still remember, he has he, I don't know what he did with the shirt, but he like one of the dudes with the switchblades tried to like try to get him like that, and he literally moved back, and it cut his shirt. Like he had the shirt with like a knife mark that like went like right like across, like it was just a clean like slit that like you could really just you could tell, you know, that like that's what happened. So, you know, after like after a bit, you know, of like people getting knocked out with 40s and stuff or whatever, like they kind of like retreated. And the cops, I mean, we knew that the police were coming, you know, we knew the police were coming. That was like a given. And so like the cops end up coming, and that was, it's funny, like this huge brawl goes down, and like, you know, like we're there, but then when the cops come, that's when people like scatter, you know, because nobody's trying to get caught up into like the mix and that shit, you know. But like it really like took the cops coming for like people to really like leave, the people who were down. There were other people that were there that they threw their bikes over the, like I'm not gonna name them out of respect, but like they threw their bikes over the fence and ran at the first sign of anything. Okay, so like I can remember, and like maybe like a couple of them stuck around, and like the, you know, the cop showed up, and I was there. Like when the cop showed up, I was still there, because I can remember seeing them making someone like my homie Jesse. He had like a brand new, he had like a half ounce of like some like really good weed, and the cops, you know, they searched us and everything, and like he had it, and the cop made him, you know, he could have been more of a dick about it, but he made him like stomp it out, and he just like stomped it out right there in the alley, which like I have more stories that like, you know, or I have at least one more story that is similar in that respect of the cops making us like stomp something out, but I'd rather stomp something out than catch a charge, which I think is pretty like universal or whatever, you know. But like straight up to this day, like I've never seen a crazier brawl go down, and it didn't last like very long, you know, but in the moment it's like it's almost like things slow down, you know, like things get really slow. And so I really can't tell you if it was 5 minutes or 30 minutes. Like, but it's most likely closer to like the shorter side than the longer side. It just feels longer when you're like standing there. It's like looking at a clock, you know, versus just like doing your thing. So, like, to this day, like I've never like those weapons, like the mate, like I did not expect some people to roll up on like with the weapons. The weapons threw me off completely. Like, you know, a fight or whatever, like if that was gonna happen, then that was gonna happen. And like if it had been like that, it would have been a fair one. Like it wouldn't have been, you know, like I said, we didn't have no fucking, I didn't walk around with a weapon ever. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no point. But like, you know, there was, you know, other people there that just the way that they lived their life and got down and whatever, it was just kind of, you know, that was what they did. And I'm probably leaving some stuff out, but honestly, like that's pretty much like the meat and potatoes of it all. Like, you know, nobody really caught charges. Nobody, like I don't really remember like legal like action being taken, like, you know, like people got out of there or people stayed, but like regardless it was just kind of like, well, what are you gonna do, you know, it happened, and there's so many of us, and they left the so what crew, so what clique, whatever the fuck, they left, so it was just us. And then it was kind of like, well, what are you doing? It's like, well, my friend lives here, like, so it was just, it was not like they could be like, get out of here, like, you know, it's just, well, I mean, that is what they said actually, but in the beginning, you know, it's just like, hey, like, you know, my homie lives here, like that's why I'm here, I don't know about everybody else. So, you know, once again, not advocating for violence against women, never that. Like, I'm not saying she deserved it. I can't make that call. I was not right there, like, refereeing the conversation of what happened, you know. But I do know that that was like the fuse that set it off, you know. And yeah, so that was the craziest brawl that I've ever seen, with weapons, violence, like blood, like I'd never seen something like that go down since then. And like that was in the very, very, very beginning, like 2009, like 2008, 2009, like I'm talking damn near 15 years ago. And I wasn't like, I wasn't like in like a gang or like an association or anything like that, you know, but like I was still like pretty well connected with like a lot of those people and stuff and whatever. But either way, I just really felt like telling that story, and Eric also recommended that it was a good one. So, that's my boy for life, man. Like, real shit. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the story and have a good one. I'll be here coming back at you every day with that heat. So, if you're a homie and you can remember like a memory like this or whatever, shoot me a DM or a comment or whatever. Anybody who's watching still at 25 minutes, shout out to you first of all, but subscribe to the channel. It's not gonna hurt. It's free, whatever. I'm not trying to make money. I'm unfiltered as possible. Like, I hate being censored and all that shit, and I'm done doing that shit. So it is what it is. It was what it was, and best believe I got plenty more stories. My next one is gonna be about some fraud that we did when we were from the computer lab at our middle school that like turned into like some like almost federal type shit. Okay. Like, I'm not joking, like, for real. So anyways, be on the lookout for that. I'll try to get it through today. I might be able to, but at the very latest tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? So have a good one. Hope you enjoyed the channel, and be good to yourself.